All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we are diving headfirst into the world of cybersecurity careers.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
It is, especially because you all have sent in so much great material. We have articles, we've got forum discussions, we even have an episode of a podcast called, cleverly enough, Cyber Careers. And it's clear from all this stuff that cybersecurity is booming.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's talking about it these days.
They are, but we're not just going to ride the hype wave. We're going deeper, like what actually makes each cybersecurity role unique?
Yeah.
What are the day-to-day tasks, the skills you need? It's like we're on a quest to uncover, your cyber destiny.
I love that. A cyber destiny.
Right. It's catchy. But seriously, one thing that really jumps out from this Cyber Careers episode is just how much the demand for cybersecurity pros is growing.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just hype either. The numbers back it up.
Okay, give me the numbers.
Well, Cyber Careers mentioned something like a 35% surge in demand just this past year.
Whoa.
35%.
That's what they said. Okay. Yeah. That's not a small jump. I guess it makes sense, though, right? I mean...
Well, think about it. Practically every organization out there needs protection these days. And the threats, they just keep evolving.
Right. It's like a constant arms race.
Exactly.
So where do we even begin with all these opportunities?
Good question.
Well, Cyber Careers talked about cybersecurity analysts as a potential entry point.
Right.
But to be honest, that title doesn't exactly scream exciting to me.
I know what you mean. It sounds a little, well, bureaucratic.
Right. Like paperwork and meetings.
Yeah.
But maybe there's more to it.
Oh, there definitely is. Think of it this way. Imagine you're part of a digital detective agency.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You're constantly monitoring networks for any suspicious activity, analyzing breaches, building defenses.
So like a digital Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly. A cybersecurity analyst is all about solving those cyber mysteries.
Ooh, I like that. And they do this from like a high-tech command center, right?
Yeah, exactly. And those command centers, that they often call them security operations centers.
Security Operations Center. Got it.
Or SOCs for short. It's where all the action happens.
SOCs, digital detectives.
Yeah.
This is way more interesting than I initially thought. But Cyber Careers also mentioned penetration testers.
Oh, yeah. Those are the ones who get to...
Now, that's a title that sounds a bit more, shall we say, action-packed.
Absolutely. Penetration testers are basically the ethical hackers of the cybersecurity world.
Wait, so they get to, like, legally break into systems?
Exactly. They use their skills to find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. Like, imagine...
That sounds kind of thrilling.
It is, but it requires some serious skills. We're talking about hacking techniques, coding, maybe even some social engineering.
Ooh, social engineering. That's like the psychology of hacking, right?
Exactly. You need to be able to think like a hacker.
Wow, so it's not just about knowing how to, like, type code really fast.
Nope. You need a deep understanding of systems, networks, the whole 9 yards.
So I'm guessing, like, certifications are a big deal in this area.
Oh, yeah. Certifications like the Certified Ethical Hacker, or CEH, and the Offensive Security Certified Professional, OSCP, those are highly sought after.
Got it. So we've got the cybersecurity analysts monitoring networks and the penetration testers probing for weaknesses. Cyber Careers also talked about security architects. Is that like someone who designs super secure computer rooms or something?
Not quite, although I bet they'd have some opinions about that.
Okay, so what do they do?
A security architect is more like the architect of an entire organization's security infrastructure. They create the blueprints for how security is implemented.
Across all systems.
Exactly. They need to understand not just the technical side, but also the business needs.
Right, because security can't get in the way of the business actually functioning.
Exactly.
So they're thinking about security from a very strategic level.
Precisely. They're the ones making sure all the pieces of the security puzzle fit together.
And I'm guessing this is a role where you need tons of experience.
Yeah, it's usually a senior level position. They need that deep understanding of best practices and often hold advanced certifications like the CISSP.
That's the Certified Information Systems Security Professional, right?
That's the one.
Okay, makes sense. So a security architect might have started as an analyst or even a penetration tester and worked their way up.
Exactly. It's often a natural progression.
Okay, cool. So we've got analysts, ethical hackers, architects. What about the people who deal with the fallout when a cyber attack actually happens?
You're talking about incident responding.
Incident responders, yeah. Those are the ones who, like, rush in to contain the damage.
Exactly. They're the digital first responders. Think of them as the EMTs of the cyber world.
So they're the ones who get the call at 3 a.m. when the alarms start blaring.
You could say that. It's a high-pressure role, but also incredibly rewarding.
I bet. So they have to be able to think on their feet and make quick decisions.
Absolutely. They're the ones who help organizations recover from those attacks and minimize the impact.
Okay, so we've got analysts, ethical hackers, architects, and first responders. It's starting to feel like a whole cybersecurity ecosystem.
That's a great way to put it. Each role plays a crucial part in protecting organizations from these cyber threats.
Right, and we haven't even talked about the role that oversees it all. The Chief Information Security Officer, the CISO.
Ah, yes, the CISO. They're at the top of the pyramid.
So they're like the general in charge of the entire cybersecurity army.
Precisely. They develop and implement the overall security strategy for an organization.
So they need to be able to speak both tech and business.
Absolutely. They need to understand the technical details, but also communicate effectively with executives and board members.
Right, because at the end of the day, security is a business decision too.
Exactly. CISOs need that unique blend of technical expertise, leadership skills, and business acumen.
And I bet they have a whole alphabet soup of certifications after their name.
You bet. CISP, CLCMN, maybe even an MBA.
Wow, so they've really climbed the ladder.
They have. It's the pinnacle of a cybersecurity career.
And I'm guessing the salary reflects that.
Oh yeah, we're talking top tier, definitely.
So we've gone from cybersecurity analysts sounding kind of, boring, to realizing these folks are like digital detectives working in high-tech command centers. And then we have ethical hackers, architects, first responders, and even generals.
It's quite a range.
It is. And it shows that a successful cybersecurity strategy really involves a whole team of specialists.
Exactly, each with their own unique skill set.
So how does someone even begin to navigate this complex world? If I'm listening to this and thinking, wow, this sounds amazing, but where do I even start? What advice would you give?
First of all, I'd say don't get overwhelmed. There are a ton of resources out there to help you explore and develop your skills.
Right. And Cyber Careers actually mentioned some helpful resources, didn't it?
It did. They highlighted platforms like Cybrary, Coursera, and SANS.
I've heard of those. They're all reputable, right?
Very much so. They offer a wide range of information and training programs, from beginner courses to advanced certifications.
So no matter where you are in your journey, there's something for you.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So we've got these awesome resources to get us started. What about the skills themselves? What are the foundational skills anyone interested in cybersecurity should focus on?
Well, one of the most crucial skills is programming.
Programming, right?
Coding.
Exactly. Languages like Python, C++, A, and scripting are essential for building, testing, and securing systems.
Okay, so if you want to work in cybersecurity, you've got to learn to speak computer language.
That's a great way to put it. Programming is really the foundation for so much of what we do.
Right, because you need to be able to understand how systems work, right?
Absolutely.
So you can find those vulnerabilities and develop solutions.
Exactly.
Okay, programming, got it. What else?
Well, beyond programming, it's crucial to understand how networks operate.
Networks, you mean like the internet, Wi-Fi, all that?
Exactly. You need to know how data flows through those networks, where the vulnerabilities might exist.
So like mapping out a city's roads and traffic patterns. That's a great analogy. You need to know how everything is connected.
Right. So a cybersecurity analyst looking at network traffic might be able to spot unusual patterns that could indicate an attack.
Precisely. It's all about looking for those clues, like a digital detective.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, Cyber Careers also touched on cloud computing and incident management.
Right, those are big ones.
Yeah, it seems like everything's moving to the cloud these days.
It is, and cloud security is becoming more and more important. It's a whole different ball game compared to traditional security.
How so?
Well, in the cloud, you're dealing with data spread across multiple servers, virtual machines, applications.
So it's like securing a city that's constantly expanding and changing its borders.
Exactly. And you also have to deal with the shared responsibility model.
Shared responsibility, what's that?
It means the cloud provider is responsible for some aspects of security.
Like the underlying infrastructure.
Right, but the customer is still responsible for securing their own data and applications.
So it's a partnership. But ultimately, the organization using the cloud is still accountable for its own security.
Exactly. And then there's incident management. Remember we talked about those incident responders?
The digital EMPs, yeah.
Everyone in cybersecurity needs to have at least a basic understanding of what happens when a security incident occurs.
So it's not just about preventing attacks, it's also about knowing what to do when something goes wrong.
Exactly. You need to know how to identify, contain, gather evidence, restore systems, like a well-rehearsed disaster recovery plan.
Right, because no matter how good your defenses are, something will eventually slip through.
It's inevitable, so you need to be prepared.
Okay, so we've got programming, networks, cloud security, incident management. It's quite a lot.
It is, but that's what makes cybersecurity so challenging and exciting.
Right, and that's where certifications come in, right?
Absolutely. Certifications are a great way to validate your skills and knowledge to potential employers.
So it's like a way to show that you've reached a certain level of expertise.
Exactly. And in a competitive field like cybersecurity, they can really give you an edge.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Okay.
From the front lines of security analysis to the strategic heights of security architecture.
And we've talked about essential skills like programming, networking, incident management.
And don't forget those all-important certifications.
Right, those badges of honor.
Exactly.
But cyber careers didn't just focus on the technical side, did it?
Nope. They also emphasized the importance of soft skills.
Soft skills. You mean like communication and teamwork.
Exactly. In cybersecurity, you're often working as part of a team.
Right, like those SOC teams we were talking about.
Precisely. So you need to be able to communicate effectively, both with technical and non-technical colleagues.
So even if you're a coding whiz, you still need to be able to explain what you're doing to someone who doesn't understand code.
Absolutely. You might be explaining things to executives, working with developers, collaborating with other teams.
So clear communication is key.
It is. And then there's teamwork. Cybersecurity is rarely a solo effort.
Right, it takes a village.
Exactly. You're often collaborating with others to investigate threats, respond to incidents, develop strategies.
So teamwork and communication, those are essential soft skills for anyone in cybersecurity.
Absolutely. And employers really value those skills.
Okay, so we've got technical skills, soft skills, certifications. It's starting to feel like a pretty well-rounded profession.
It is. Cybersecurity isn't just about being a tech whiz. It's about being a well-rounded professional who can think critically, solve problems, and communicate effectively.
Right, it's like a whole package deal.
Exactly. And that's what makes it such an exciting and rewarding field.
Speaking of exciting, the Cyber Careers episode also mentioned some emerging trends in cybersecurity. What are some of the things on the horizon?
Well, one of the biggest trends right now is the rise of artificial intelligence, AI.
AI. So like robots taking over cybersecurity.
Not quite robots, but AI is being used in both offensive and defensive cybersecurity applications.
Wait, offensive. You mean hackers are using AI?
They are. They're using it to automate attacks, make them more sophisticated, harder to detect.
Oh, that's a little unsettling.
It can be, but the good news is security professionals are also using AI to develop more powerful defenses.
So it's like an AI arms race.
You could say that, but AI is definitely changing the game in cybersecurity.
Okay, AI. Got it. What else is on the horizon?
Another big trend is the growing importance of data privacy.
Data privacy. Well, yeah, with all the data breaches we hear about these days, it seems like nobody's immune.
It's true. Organizations are under increasing pressure to protect sensitive information.
So cybersecurity professionals aren't just protecting systems and networks, they're also protecting people's privacy.
Exactly. They need to understand the legal and ethical implications of data collection and use and make sure organizations are complying with regulations like GDPR.
Right, GDPR, that's a big one in Europe, right?
It is, and it's having a ripple effect around the world.
So data privacy is a huge responsibility.
It is, but it's also incredibly rewarding, knowing that you're helping to protect people's personal information.
Okay, so we've got AI and data privacy. What other trends are shaping the future of cybersecurity?
Well, another big one is the increasing sophistication of cyber attacks.
Sophistication, what do you mean by that?
Well, we're seeing more targeted attacks these days. Hackers are doing their research, planning their attacks carefully.
So it's not just random attacks anymore.
Not as much. They might spend weeks or even months gathering information about their target, identifying vulnerabilities, creating custom malware.
Wow, that's pretty scary.
It is, and it means cybersecurity professionals need to be even more vigilant and proactive.
So they need to be constantly learning and adapting.
Exactly. Cybersecurity is constantly evolving.
It's not a field where you can just get your certifications and then coast.
Nope. You need to be constantly reading, attending conferences, taking courses, experimenting with new technologies.
So it's a field for lifelong learners, people who are passionate about technology and love the challenge of staying one step ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who thrives on that kind of environment, cybersecurity might just be the perfect fit for you.
This has been an incredible conversation. We've gone from a pretty basic understanding of cybersecurity careers to a much deeper appreciation for the challenges, the rewards, the real-world impact of this field.
I agree. It's been a fascinating journey.
It has. And I think our listener has a lot to think about now. They've got a solid overview of the landscape, some insights into different roles and skills.
And we've even touched on the future of the field.
Right. But before we wrap up completely, I'd love to hear your final thoughts on what makes cybersecurity such a compelling career choice.
You know, what really makes cybersecurity so compelling is its impact on the real world. It's not just about bits and bytes. It's about protecting people, businesses, critical infrastructure from harm.
That's such a good point. We often think of it as this, like, abstract technical field. But it has very real consequences for people's lives.
Exactly. A cyber attack can cripple a hospital, disrupt financial markets, even compromise national security.
So cybersecurity professionals are kind of like unsung heroes.
Right.
Working behind the scenes to prevent these things from happening.
I like that, unsung heroes.
Right. They're protecting not just data, but lives and livelihoods.
Precisely. And that sense of purpose, of making a real difference, that's what drives so many people in this field.
It's like being a guardian of the digital realm,
I love it.
defending against threats that most people don't even realize exist.
And the best part is, there's a place for everyone in this fight. Whether you're a coding genius who loves building secure systems, or a strategic thinker who enjoys designing those complex architectures, or maybe you're an analytical mind who thrives on investigating incidents, there's a cybersecurity role out there for everyone.
And that's a key takeaway for our listeners. It's not just one type of person who can succeed in this field. There's so much diversity in the roles and specializations that you can really find your niche, your way to contribute.
Absolutely. And with the field growing so rapidly, there's never been a better time to get involved.
Cyber careers even mention that a lot of cybersecurity professionals find their jobs to be really fulfilling.
Oh, yeah. It's intellectually stimulating. You're constantly learning, solving new challenges, working with others.
So it's not just a job, it's a career with real purpose and room for growth.
Precisely.
And with all the resources available online, through boot camps, traditional education, it's easier than ever to get the skills you need.
So there's no excuse not to explore it.
Well, this deep dive has been truly inspiring. We've gone from just knowing the basic job titles to really understanding the complexities and nuances of this field.
Agreed. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And for our listener, instead of wondering if cybersecurity is the right path, the question now becomes, what part of this world excites ME the most?
Exactly. Because as we've learned today, there are many paths to explore in this landscape. And with dedication, passion, and a commitment to lifelong learning, the possibilities are limitless.
So if you're feeling inspired by what you've heard today, don't wait. Start exploring those resources, connect with people in the field, and take that first step towards your own cyber destiny.
Well said. The digital world needs you. The adventure awaits. That's true, yeah. Programming is really like having that decoder ring to understand how it all works. But, you know, on top of that, it's really important to understand how networks operate.
Networks. So like, we're talking the internet, Wi-Fi, that kind of thing.
Exactly. You've got it. You got to grasp how data moves through these networks, how they're structured.
See where the weak points might be?
Exactly. You're thinking like a security pro already.
Well, I try.
It's like, you know, if you were trying to protect a city, you got to map out all the roads, the traffic patterns, see where someone might sneak in.
Oh, I like that. So a cybersecurity analyst looking at network traffic, they might be able to spot some weird patterns that could mean, oh, there's an attack happening.
Exactly. They're like detectives looking for clues at a crime scene.
Ooh, I like the detective analogy. Speaking of which, cyber careers also mention cloud computing and incident management.
Right, right. Those are becoming super important these days.
Yeah, it seems like everything is moving to the cloud.
It really is. And that means cloud security is more critical than ever. It's a whole different world compared to, you know, your traditional on-premises security.
What makes it so different?
Well, with the cloud, your data is spread out. It's across tons of servers, virtual machines, different applications.
So it's not all just sitting in one place anymore.
Exactly. It's more like, you know, instead of defending a castle, you're defending a whole city that keeps growing and changing.
Okay, yeah, that sounds a lot more complicated.
It definitely adds a layer of complexity. And then on top of that, you've got this thing called the shared responsibility model.
Shared responsibility, what's that all about?
So basically, the cloud provider is responsible for securing the underlying infrastructure, like the physical servers and stuff.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the customer, the one using the cloud, they're still responsible for securing their own data and applications.
So kind of a team effort.
It is, you could say that, yeah. But ultimately, the organization using the cloud is still accountable for their own security.
Gotcha. So they can't just pass the buck entirely.
Exactly. And then, on top of all that, we've got incident management.
Right, right. Remember those incident responders, the ones rushing in to contain the damage?
Exactly. Well, in cybersecurity, everyone, no matter their role, needs to have at least a basic idea of what goes down when there's a security incident.
So it's not just about preventing attacks. It's about knowing what to do when, inevitably something goes wrong.
Exactly. Because, let's face it, no system is perfect.
Right. Things happen.
So you got to know how to identify an incident, contain that damage, gather evidence, restore systems.
So it's like having a really good disaster recovery plan in place.
You got it. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so we've talked programming, networks, cloud security, and now incident management. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. But this is why certifications can be so valuable.
Right, they're like a shorthand way to show that you actually know this stuff.
Exactly. Certifications can validate your skills and knowledge, which is huge when you're talking to potential employers.
So it's like, okay, you have the CEH, you've proven you ethical hacking.
Exactly. Or you have the CISP, you're showing that you've got a deep understanding of security architecture.
And in a field as competitive as cybersecurity, that can really make you stand out.
Oh, absolutely. Certifications can definitely give you a leg up.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here.
We have, from the nitty-gritty technical details to the big picture strategic stuff.
And those all-important soft skills?
Right? We can't forget those. Communication, teamwork, those are critical in any cybersecurity role.
But cyber careers didn't stop there. They also talked about some of the emerging trends shaping the future of the field.
Oh, yeah. Things are moving fast in cybersecurity. What's hot today might be old news tomorrow.
So what are some of the things on the horizon?
Well, one of the biggest ones is AI, artificial intelligence.
AI, you mean like robots are going to be doing cybersecurity now?
Not quite robots, but AI is being used in all sorts of ways, both by the good guys and the bad guys.
Wait, what do you mean by the bad guys?
Well, hackers are starting to use AI to automate attacks, make them more sophisticated, harder to detect.
So the attacks are getting smarter.
They are, but the good news is the defenses are getting smarter too.
So it's kind of like an AI arms race.
Yeah, you could say that. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the coming years.
Okay, AI, got it. What else is changing the game in cybersecurity?
Another big trend is data privacy.
Data privacy. Well, yeah, with all the data breaches we hear about constantly, it seems like nobody's data is safe anymore.
It's true, and that's why organizations are under so much pressure these days to protect sensitive information.
So cybersecurity pros aren't just protecting computers and networks, they're protecting people's privacy too.
Absolutely. They need to understand the legal and ethical side of things, make sure companies are following the rules like GDPR.
Right, GDPR, that's the European Union's big data privacy law.
Exactly. And it's having a big impact worldwide.
So yeah, data privacy, that's a huge responsibility.
It is, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Knowing that you're helping to protect people's personal information, that's a powerful motivator.
Okay, AI, data privacy. What other trends should we have on our radar?
Well, one more I'd highlight is that cyber attacks are becoming a lot more sophisticated.
Sophisticated, what does that mean exactly?
Well, for one thing, we're seeing more targeted attacks. Hackers are doing their homework. They're planning their attacks very carefully.
So it's not just random attacks anymore. They're going after specific targets.
Exactly. They might spend weeks or even months gathering information, looking for weak points, developing custom malware designed to exploit those vulnerabilities.
Wow, that sounds like something out of a spy movie.
It kind of is, and it means cybersecurity professionals have got to be super vigilant and proactive.
So they need to be constantly learning, evolving their tactics.
Exactly. Cybersecurity is not a field where you can just learn a few things and then coast.
You gotta stay sharp.
You do. You got to be reading, attending conferences, taking courses, playing around with new tech, all that.
So it's really a field for people who love learning, who love a challenge.
It is, and that's what makes it so exciting. You're constantly pushing yourself. You're on the cutting edge. You're making a real difference.
That's inspiring.
And if that sounds appealing to you, then cybersecurity might be the perfect fit.
This has been an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
We've gone from just skimming the surface of cybersecurity careers to really diving deep and understanding the complexity, the nuances, the real-world impact of it all.
I agree. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And for our listener, I think they've got a lot to process now. A really solid overview of the landscape, some insights into different roles and skills.
And we've even given them a glimpse into the future of the field.
Right. But before we completely wrap up, I'd love to hear your final thoughts on what makes cybersecurity such a compelling career choice.
I think for me, what really makes it so compelling is, the impact it has on the real world. It's not just about ones and zeros in code. It's about protecting people,
Yeah.
protecting businesses, critical infrastructure from actual harm.
Right. It's easy to think of cybersecurity as this, like, abstract thing,
Right.
but the consequences are very real.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. A successful cyber attack that could shut down a hospital, it could disrupt financial markets, heck, it could even compromise national security.
So it's not just data that's at stake.
No, not at all. Cybersecurity professionals, they're the ones working behind the scenes to prevent those scenarios. They're protecting lives and livelihoods.
It's like they're guardians of the digital realm, defending
Uh-huh.
against these invisible threats.
That's a great way to put it. And the cool thing is, there's a place for everyone in this fight. It doesn't matter if you're like a coding whiz who loves to build secure systems, or maybe you're more of a strategic thinker, someone who enjoys designing those big picture security architectures. Or maybe you're an analytical mind, the kind of person who thrives on investigating incidents. There's a cybersecurity role out there that's perfect for you. You just got to find it.
I think that's such an important point for our listeners. It's not just one type of person who succeeds in this field. There's so much diversity in the roles and specializations that
Exactly.
can really find your niche.
Absolutely, yeah. And with how fast the field's growing, there's never been a better time to jump in. And, cyber careers even mention that a lot of professionals in the field, they find their jobs super fulfilling.
I can see that. I mean, it seems intellectually stimulating. You're always learning. You're solving tough challenges.
Right, and you're working with a team, collaborating.
Not just a job, it's a career.
Exactly. With a real sense of purpose.
And with all the resources out there, whether it's online, boot camps, traditional education,
Right.
it's easier than ever to get the skills you need to get started.
No excuses.
Well, this deep dive has been truly inspiring. We've gone from just knowing some basic cybersecurity job titles to really understanding the complexities and nuances of this whole world.
I completely agree. It's been a fantastic journey.
It has. And for our listener, I think, instead of just asking themselves, is cybersecurity right for me? The question now becomes, what part of this world excites ME the most?
Exactly, because as we've learned today, there are so many paths to explore. And with dedication, with passion, with a commitment to always keep learning, the possibilities are honestly endless.
So if you're feeling inspired by what you've heard today, don't wait. Start exploring those resources, connect with people in the field, and take that first step towards your own cyber destiny.
I love that, yeah. The digital world needs you, and you know what? The adventure awaits.
That's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us.